Welcome to Heavenly Panels, your gateway to the most exciting manhwa and manhua stories. From overpowered heroes and legendary cultivators to epic Murim battles, regressions, reincarnations, and fantasy adventures, we bring you the best story recaps and highlights. Subscribe and join our journey through incredible worlds, powerful characters, and unforgettable adventures. New stories are waiting for you every day, right here on Heavenly Panels.
His mind plunged into an abyss, his thoughts circling only her name. He kept muttering, "Tuni, my little sister. Tunai, she's been shattered." An cruel reality cut Laya a fatal blade through his soul. Tran Vu Nguyen screamed, "Impossible!" Laya headless fly, he charged blindly, pushing through the crowd. His speed was terrifying. In a flash, he leaped onto the balcony, his body blazed with crimson force. Laya meteor plummeting from the sky, aimed at the vicious demon Thai Jiang. Muklam Bin was held by enemy soldiers, saw his young master rushing to his death. But it was already too late. He could only cry out in shock, "Young master, young master." Having lost his sister, he became a beast, eyes blazing, mouth wide open in a roar. "I will." Thai Jiang remained utterly calm, raising one hand and unleashing a powerful palm strike into the air. The meteor lay figure veered off course, crashing into the ground behind him. Thai Jiang even sneered a remark. "Why are you brats so noisy, knowing nothing of the world?" Tran Vu Nguyen watched, and couldn't help but widen his eyes, sweating profusely. A hand grabbed his collar and yanked him back. It was Don Hatoyet. She kicked an enemy, shouting at him. Behind me, she danced a few forms, punching with great agility. A rare, clever, and fierce warrior, protected by Don Hatoyet. Tran Vu Nguyen couldn't hide his worry. Facing him was Taemon Tulin, who, after witnessing everything from Tuni's death, Tran Vu Nguyen and Ta Fong defeated, stood there stunned. What a disaster, she thought in panic. Little sister, little. They attacked because we came later. Who would dare provoke us? Don't they know who we are? Could it be Tran Vu Nguyen's doing? But they don't seem to be his allies. Were they caught up by accident? Calm down, Taemon Tulin. Who is that expert? Why attack us? None of that matters now. If they really are assassins. Tulin thought of another plan. She turned to the bleeding guard. "Sister, the situation is bad. Let's find a place to hide." There, she lowered her head. "Take Tay and Tran with you. The others no need to care anymore." She glanced at Tran Vu Nguyen nearby. Protected by Don Hatoyet. Tran Vu Nguyen stared at her deeply, and Tulin's face froze slightly. She chose to ignore him and turn away. As they fled to safety, Muklam Bin blocked the other assassins. Them. A voice rang out in the space, non-stop. The owner of this pitiful sound was Tran Vu Nguyen, sprawled on the ground. Thai Jiang ignored him and walked away. Suddenly, Tulin's people rushed over. Taemon Tulin stepped forward, magic power shimmering from her feet. She calculated silently. Although Tran Vu Nguyen has value. Tulin stepped forward, leaving magic traces on the ground. She thought deeply, but wait. Her thoughts continued, especially the rumor Tai is invincible. No mistakes allowed. Blood dripped from her nose. Tran Vu Nguyen, watching, was shocked. He muttered, "Heavens, how is this possible? Without any tools or mediums. She can cast a formation. No wonder she's Taemon Ho's granddaughter. The Taemon clan is not to be underestimated." In an instant, everything in the world was swallowed by a blinding light. Thai. He looked up. What is this? An illusion formation. In truth, only he could see that white void. Tulin, after casting her technique to saving their comrades, said grimly, "This monster will break free soon. We must leave this place now. As they departed, only Lam Bin, dead at the door, and assassins remained. Tran Vung Nguyen mused. Knowing he'd be abandoned, he bought them. Time to escape. What glory in sacrifice. His master wouldn't even know, even if glorious. He's dead now. What meaning is left? I see only a wasted death. Doon Hatayat had finished off a group. Assassins. A surge of energy rushed over, and she turned in surprise. Her gaze flew toward the high balcony. Thai Jiang had escaped the formation. He was furious, roaring, "You brats. You truly don't know death." By the time the formation dissolved, the battlefield was empty, no one in sight. He sneered, all run away. Fine then, you little devils. Wait until you grow stronger. I'll come play with you again. My target is this young lady. Then, Thai Jiang smiled grimly. Little lady, I never thought we'd meet here. Hey. Doon Hatayat looked down, expression grim, but she answered stubbornly, demon, unkillable monster. Vung Nguyen, run. There. Thai Jiang laughed with interest. Little brat, you are your master's hope. Only by killing you will that cold witch show weakness. I must kill you. Blame that witch. With that, he unleashed a powerful palm strike. The old ruins of Northern Heaven sect exploded across half the region. The blurry vision slowly cleared. Tran Vung Nguyen struggled to sit up. The shockwave had knocked him out. Unconscious, but he was still alive, thanks to a silver-haired maiden hovering. Air. Tran Vung Nguyen was stunned. White hair. Could it be? The White Night Witch. The White Night Witch, one of the Night Lord's 4 great demons, commanders of the Night Court, Than Phong Man, Hakan Nan Thuong, Fason Ma Vuong, and her. They served as the Night Lord's deputies, possessing supreme power beings the Central Plains martial world could not resist. Names were forbidden. Even the 9 heavens wouldn't dare face her directly. She's no ordinary person. But who would have thought? Hatayat is the descendant of the White Night Witch. If Doon Hatayat floated in midair, her hair white as snow, enhancing her allure. Her hand closed slightly as she coldly uttered the technique's name, Nganhon Tam Quiet. Thai Jiang waved. Why not run? Little brat, you can't beat me. Doon Hatayat slowly turned her head, thinking, I can't hold out much longer. Tran Vung Nguyen, hurry. Behind her, the young man had vanished. Hatayat was surprised. He ran. She felt no disappointment. Instead, then that's good. Another earth-shattering explosion occurred, even more brutal than before. Thick smoke swirled over the wounded land. As the dust slowly settled, the image of Thai Jiang grabbing the small, blood-soaked body of Doon Hatayat. Even the witch's descendant couldn't met it. So Thai Jiang didn't even bother to look back, courting death. How foolish. Die, little brat. Doon Hatayat, in agony, gritted her teeth. She recalled the young man's figure. Vung Nguyen, she said, you are the only one. Images of him flashed through her mind. She whispered, the one who brought warmth. Goodbye, Vung Nguyen. The moment her words ended, Doon Hatayat suddenly fell from Thai Jiang's hand. His arm spurted blood, as if a razor-sharp cut had swept across, light as a breeze. Seconds later, the killer's blood gushed violently. Thai Jiang didn't know what happened, letting out a dazed grunt as Doon Hatayat fell. Her eyes witnessed a horrifying scene. A familiar sound of a blade rang across the brutal battlefield. An arm suddenly shielded her. Tran Vung Nguyen stood tall, sword in hand, a black-clad figure debuting to the world. He said seriously, I'm late. I am Tran Vung Nguyen. Thai Jiang was shocked. Who are you? The other replied coldly, 5th Sect Master of Northern Heaven. 5th Sect Master of Northern Heaven. Tran Vung Nguyen, that's really you. Doon Hatayat couldn't believe her eyes. Her face was pure shock and amazement. She stammered, what's going on? Tran Vung Nguyen, the figure of Tran Vung Nguyen stood firm as Mount Tai before her. That weak young man, holding his sharp sword exuding an aura. Indescribable strength. Doon Hatayat asked dazedly, did you go to get your sword? Tran Vung Nguyen didn't answer. He glanced at the maiden. dazed, instinctively calling him Vu Nguyen. He seized the opening. A single light slash successfully rescuing Don Hatuyet. After all these long years, he was truly on the battlefield. His face hardened, body ready in a fighting stance. Dai Jiang, clutching his arm, blood pouring down like a waterfall, asked, "What sorcery did you use?" He thought to himself, "This nearly immortal body of mine, why won't it heal?" As for Tran Vu Nguyen, the young man's gaze grew sharper. He calculated carefully, how many chances do I have? No, do I even have a chance? First battle, and I face a monster. Wow, this is truly dire. Dai Jiang was not pleased. He tilted his head, eyes gleaming like a poisonous wild beast. He said, "Your aura truly unsettles me. I must kill you, brat." With that, he lunged at his opponent in a flash. His sturdy body was like a raging bear. Both hands clenched into fists. Dai Jiang's black eyes bulged, veins popping, terrifying to behold. His head-sized fist tore through the air. Indeed, he was strong with that terrifying speed and skill. He should have crushed his enemy long ago, Lai Tuni. Yet Tran Vu Nguyen dodged. Though the evasion wasn't pretty, missing made Dai Jiang's eyes wide, a bead of sweat falling. He stared at the youth, thinking. He actually dodged it. Was instantly Tran Vu Nguyen's cue, domineering demeanor from before, blown away by Dai Jiang's wind, gone without a trace. He landed like a clumsy frog. Dai Jiang grew even more enraged, like a storm, like raging winds, roaring like a hideous monster. This time he used both hands, ready to smash the brat into pieces. Debris fell like heavy rain. The protagonist barely kept his life. Tran Vu Nguyen stared at the spot Dai Jiang smashed. 2 hits and still not dead. Dai Jiang kicked a roundhouse. But Tran Vu Nguyen, covering his head, dodged again, looking utterly ridiculous. Another horizontal slash. The kid leaned back and kept his little life. Another palm strike cut the ground. The lucky kid jumped up. Was quite skilled at it. Dai Jiang was seething with rage, his eyes bulging wide, veins popping, black blood dripping, making him even more horrifying. He roared at Tran Vu Nguyen, "Die!" While the battle between Dai Jiang and Tran Vu Nguyen was still undecided, Mo Thuong was using light kung fu, racing at full speed to find his other team members. He feared the team met disaster. He recalled when Mo Thuong and Tran saw the soldiers slaughtered by Dai Jiang. Tran stammered, "We've met ghosts. We really shouldn't have come to this cursed place. Deputy Captain, I dare not go back." With that, he bolted away in fear, leaving Mo Thuong calling after Tran. Sweat poured down Mo Thuong's face. He couldn't understand what happened. When Mo Thuong noticed something, he stopped and shouted, "Who's there? Aim." It caught Mo Thuong's attention. It turned out to be that useless, cowardly team leader who vanished when trouble struck. Mo Thuong asked this team leader, "What's going on here?" The leader answered, panicked, looking left and right to check the surroundings. "What did he say? What's going on?" "A pack of hounds caused trouble. I nearly lost my life." "Where are you headed?" "Run while you can." "Run while you still can," Mo Thuong shouted. "What are you saying? All our members have fallen. Shouldn't we avenge them?" The cowardly leader stammered, "What nonsense are you talking? No time for that. Listen here." Mo Thuong's veins bulged with fury across his face. He gritted his teeth and said, "They all trusted you like this, worked alongside you, gladly risking their lives for you. How can you abandon them without a care? Does this honor the brothers who followed you?" The leader roared, "Ridiculous. Who are they?" Realizing his slip, he covered up. "We can avenge them later. But first we must survive." Mo Thuong couldn't hold back and kicked the old man, who couldn't dodge, and let out a grunt. He cried in pain, threatening him. "You bastard, just you wait." Ignoring him, Mo Thuong spat out trash and used his lightness skill to dash off, while the cowardly leader's voice trailed after, "Bastard, Still playing hero, truly one who won't cry until the coffin. Go die alone then, you little brat. I will survive to the end. I'll lie to enjoy wealth and glory. I've climbed step by step. It's not simple, damn it. Back to the battle between Vu Nguyen and Thai Jiang. Witnessing this, Doan Hatoyet still couldn't believe her eyes at what was unfolding. Watching Tran Vu Nguyen's figure holding a sword fighting Thai Jiang, she recalled his image, memories that had happened, and a huge question mark formed in her heart. Had he been hiding his strength? Her face was bleeding, eyes wide with sob. Even now she couldn't sense any special aura at all. Thai Jiang struck, gathering power. Hands wreathed in dark demonic energy. As he leaped into the air, Vu Nguyen couldn't help but be startled. Thai Jiang hovered midair, poised to strike, and roared, "I'll tear you into pieces." Demonic energy surged into Thai Jiang's hands, ready to unleash the primordial heaven-destroying strike. Instantly, waves of force from Thai Jiang crashed down like a storm. Waves of force rained down like a storm toward Vu Nguyen. On the ground, he panicked, fear on his face, sweat beaded, thinking, even using my wits and senses, it's hard to avoid. What do I do? Meanwhile, as Tamo Thuong raced to find his people, he saw waves of force lay shooting, stars falling from above. He screamed, "What the hell? What on earth is happening?" A peaceful estate vanished instantly. This is no different from a battlefield. This must be Ho Thien Kak, once a place of ceremonies, now dust. Tamo Thuong kept dashing forward through the dust. He spotted someone below, but as he got closer, it was Diep Viet, his body covered in blood, his face seemingly lifeless. Tamo Thuong ran, lifted him, calling his name. "You can't die yet. If you die, who will I vent all this anger on?" But Tamo Thuong's calls received no response. Diep Viet's face bloody, eyes closed, no longer answering. On this side, Tran Vu Nguyen was still trying to counter Thai Jiang's attack. Suddenly remembering something, he turned to look at Doan Hatoyet, thinking, the priority now is to get her out of here first. Suddenly noticing behind the wall where Doan Hatoyet, where she sat, he spotted inscriptions, let out a puzzled grunt. Thai Jiang's strike was about to land. A thunderous explosion erupted like a fierce tiger. Dust and sand shot up high. The night sky and ground were pierced. Nothing left. At this moment, the hand with clearly defined knuckles of Tamo Thuong rested on the blood-covered face of his old friend. All hatred. Another massive blast occurred. The destructive force no less, only even more terrifying. Tamo Thuong's old friend, though his hands were covered in blood and wounds, still gripped his sword tightly. Tamo Thuong watched in silence, reaching toward the heavy sword. No need to say more. Clearly Tamo Thuong had grabbed the gleaming blade with a firm grip, each grain of sand falling like distant stars as he shielded the man. Tamo Thuong looked at the dire scene. Him. In the distance, countless boulders were falling from above, like baby elephants. It was no different from a meteor shower descending from the cosmos, punching holes and turning the land into a beehive. No more, no less. Tamo Thuong, whose heart had grown ever harder, saw this sight without showing the panic and fear of a coward. Suddenly, in this apocalyptic scene where no one could survive, a small dark figure appeared, moving with the speed of a falcon. Tamo Thuong glanced and recognized what it was. His cold, icy expression shattered in an instant. He blurted out, "What? Isn't that Tran Vu Nguyen? Moving so fast." As for the only young woman left, Doan Hatoyet was also affected by this shockwave. Her body covered in fresh blood, she curled up, shielding her head. Tran Vu Nguyen arrived just in time, not letting Doan Hatoyet be afraid for too long. His strong, somber figure appeared before her, eyes filled with killing intent. Tran Vu Nguyen nearly became a fierce beast. The forest, his white teeth grinding together. From the ancestors' teachings, he was able to execute a series of movements as fluid as a bird in flight or a flowing sigh. Trim. The final sword stroke unleashed. A gust of wind flashed with a purple hue, rising like a summoned sword, towering several yards above its master. successfully blocking the meteor gift that Dai Jiang from above had bestowed. Mo Thuong watched the whole show without paying, falling back, shocked by the display. Even Dai Jiang, the ultimate villain, helped but be terrified, his eyes bulging like two green eggs. Couldn't handle his techniques, swinging his sword like a dance. Hell, utterly mesmerizing. Every strike the youth made turned into a barrage of slashes, fiercely flying forward, hitting the mark, defending and attacking. Suddenly he crouched down, a gale wrapped around him like an arc. Tran Vu Nguyen gathered his strength, the ground cracked, and then, whoosh. Tran Vu Nguyen rose as lightly as the east wind. His long sword swept behind in a beautiful crescent arc. The sword arc was about to slash horizontally, as if to cut the air in two. Dai Jiang had been motionless, feeling that every second passing was like hundreds of frames flashing before his eyes, too fast to react. But stillness means death here. What followed was obvious. He was cleanly cut across by Tran Vu Nguyen. Only then did Dai Jiang utter belated words. Dead. He's no ordinary brat. He's a tiger. Even if no longer rampant, he'll always be a tiger, living a life of ease and peace. Dai Jiang, who had just been split in half, suddenly in an instant rejoined his body, and took the chance to strike back with a bare hand, spitting fire. Truly a descendant of the Northern Heaven sect, a great dark wind like a whirlwind shot forth, striking Tran Vu Nguyen in the ribs. Judging by the victim's expression, it hurt beyond words. Tran Vu, just a kid, no more, no less. Though his speed was indeed quick, his stamina was far behind his opponent. He took the palm and spat out a mouthful of blood. Dai Jiang landed, ploughing into the ground upon landing. Still, his skill was etched into that monster's mind. He stomped over, asking, "What martial arts have you learned?" After a few steps, before the owner even answered, a diagonal line of blood spurted from Dai Jiang's massive body. Dai Jiang gritted his teeth, pressing down on the wound. The cut was so sharp that the blade had long left, yet only now did blood spray. He couldn't believe it. When did he cut me? On this side. Vu Nguyen crashed down so violently he nearly formed a human-shaped pit, dirt scattering. One strike was a killing blow, but luckily Tran Vu Nguyen survived. Struggling up, coughing blood non-stop, his right sleeve torn in a patch. The youth opened his bloodshot eyes and cursed inwardly. Damn it, too tough. Am I at my limit? What do I do? Dai Jiang also bore a wound. With his immortal cultivation, his body was nearly undying, yet the slash from earlier wouldn't heal. He said to Tran Vu Nguyen, "You bastard, hiding your skills. Damn it. What martial arts did you learn? Though I enjoy fighting the strong, you make me uncomfortable. I will kill you." As he finished, a pale palm struck him, making him shut his mouth. Dawn had twice appeared just in time, though so weak she had to use one hand for support. Subtitle promo line. Just as he bent his leg and gathered strength to stomp down, suddenly, massive ice shards shot out from nowhere, sweeping across the ground as if cutting the earth in two. That attack wasn't meant to save him. It just happened to coincide with Dai Jiang about to strike. The mysterious opponent unleashed a move, evidenced by Tran Vu Nguyen having to roll several times to dodge. Crying out in pain to the sky. Elsewhere, a white robe enveloped someone. Amidst the shattered rocks, both seemed perfectly safe. A familiar pair of eyes appeared. That's right. It was the man who was the trusted aide beside Dawn Hatoyet last night. Dawn Hatoyet was in his arm. Safe. She looked at him with surprise. Because this weirdo always shows up when someone's about to die. Tu Lin looked down at her. She called out his name, dazed and confused. He had taken nearly all of that attack, lying amidst the chaotic rubble, his gaze sharp as a sword looking ahead. He said haltingly, You've finally come. The figure in white, so bright it glowed in the night, of a woman of exquisite beauty, with an imposing aura, a great figure descending upon the world, the White Night Witch, one of the demon lords of the Night Secret System, renowned in her time. The woman turned her head with an aura of menace. She said softly, Hatuyet. Doan Hatuyet, gravely wounded, knelt weakly before her master, eyes brimming with tears. Master. She checked if her Hatuyet was master. It seemed she looked to Trek if Hatuyet was alive, or she demanded, You fiend. You should. She demanded, You fiend. You should never have appeared in this. Daijang clutched his left side, replying without respect, Which, wasn't I created by the Night Secret? Tu Ling at this moment lowered his head and said to his young mistress, Forgive my lateness, young miss. Then he raised his head, unable to let go of worldly emotion. Yet that brat made her fall in love, causing everything to collapse. Look at the young miss now. She shouldn't have to endure this. That bastard his martial arts, and is a Northern Heaven descendant, the enemy of the Night Secret. Everyone thought the sect had declined. Who knew a beast still hid its claws? A threat. I must kill him. He's a disaster. With that, from his sleeve, Tu Lin drew a blade full of killing intent, intending to finish it. So chilling that one glance made you shiver. Suddenly, a hand covered in fresh blood of the young woman reached up to grab the hem of his flowing robe. Doan Hatuyet called out in a voice 7 parts panicked. Tu Lin. She weakly and helplessly leaned into a trusted aide's chest, her once vibrant and lively face now full of exhaustion. She trembled as she begged him, Don't, Tu Lin. Tu Lin, stopped by his own master's killing intent. He looked down, hesitating, said, Young mistress Doan Hatuyet, in a rare display of tenderness. He did nothing. This is my fault. I chose to hide here. He's always taken care of me, without expecting anything back. This is the first time I've accepted it. Tu Lin saw the stubbornness hidden in the eyes of the little girl, and was quite displeased, because the White Night Witch had always trained her disciples to be heartless and indifferent figures. Leave him. He'll surely bring endless trouble. Doan Hatuyet's voice grew firmer, each word spoken as if weighed with iron resolve. She clenched her fist. Tu Lin's robe crumpled. It was him. Her words faltered, memories flashing by. Her eyes gradually became glistening, seemingly filled with tears. She said, It was him who saved me. Tu Ling was a cold-blooded assassin, but faced with the expression and will of the young mistress, the one he'd protected for years, with unwavering loyalty and care, he found no words left to argue. So he just turned his head and sighed. He dropped the matter from before, and from the folds of his chest, as if prepared in advance, he pulled something out and said, Young mistress, drink this first. It turned out to be a small pill, glowing with a golden hue. He held it out before her. He helped Doan Hatuyet sit up, calmly feeding her the pill. Doan Hatuyet, however, didn't seem concerned about recovering. At this moment, the medicine reached her lips, but she turned her head, casting a sorrowful gaze into the distance. She silently called out, Vunguyen. Vunguyen. Tran Vunguyen was covered in tattered wounds, hard to look at. His clothes torn and shredded, his whole body bleeding heavily, lying sprawled in the rubble. Right after, the vast territory of Northern Heaven Gate erupted in a thunderous explosion, smoke thicker than any fog, carried by the fierce wind. His teeth bared like a wolf's, gleaming white. He thought with irritation, Damn it, after being wounded by that brat's strange aura, the wound just weren't close. Turning toward the white-haired woman, she remained calm, unmoved. Sharp weapons floating above her. These divine weapons were controlled through spiritual will. The White Night Witch finally spoke a few words, each one cold and piercing. That alone can't wound me. I will never lose a second time. Us. Then, the moonlight blade struck. The crescent weapons lunged like demons, madly tearing through the wind. Dai Jiang showed little reaction. His lifeless eyes staring ahead, he muttered, Ha, to Cam Huang. A rare faint smile spread on his face. In that instant, the enemy's weapons had already bombarded above Thajang's head, yet he still roared loudly, "I was created to destroy you all. Bastard. Everything seemed to freeze. Time itself felt like it stopped. The wind blew Vu Nguyen's hair. He stared intently at the scene without uttering a word. Even Tu Lin and Don Hatayat in the distance stood motionless. The scene was magnificent and brutal, forcing one's heartbeat to stop. Their souls scattered in shock. The detestable figure immediately caught everyone's eye, but within the sunlight appeared a both strange and familiar. Tran Vu Nguyen jolted awake, one arm instinctively holding his waist. Where the severe wound from Bai Jiang's killing strike remained, before him stood the White Night Witch. Intangible, at a distance not far, she clasped her hands behind her, white robes fluttering in the breeze, her head unbowed, arrogantly granting him the look of a hunter toward its prey. Cold and utterly ruthless, Tran Vu Nguyen faced her in panic. Seeing her was like seeing a dragon. The youth immediately stepped back, his back slamming against the stone. He turned, eyes scanning frantically for something, not finding it. He whipped around to the left. But no matter how he looked, these ordinary eyes only took in a stretch of ruins under the dawn. The scene pulled back. The entire northern heaven gate, after a night of terrifying nightmares, now returned to silence. But the traces of last night's bloody battle remained clear, the ground strewn with broken stones. The White Night Witch said, "He's already fled." She turned back to the matter at hand, saying, "You are the last sect master of Northern Heaven Gate." Then she couldn't help thinking. Everyone thought he was a toothless tiger, but now it's clear he's a sharp-clawed, keen-fanged beast. To avoid future trouble, she gathered her immense inner energy, aiming it at Tran Vu Nguyen, muttering, "I must eliminate him early." Suddenly someone's shout cut through. "You can't, master." Stumbling footsteps trudged across the cold, hard ground, limping. It was Don Hatayat, appearing from somewhere, clutching her left shoulder. The girl's appearance no less battered than Tran Vu Nguyen's. She didn't look at her master even once, only trudging toward the man sitting there. The White Night Witch hesitated. Her devoted disciple stared back with tearful, resolute eyes, then knelt, pledging her life to protect the last blood of Northern Heaven Gate. Tran Vu Nguyen. Tran Vu Nguyen was taken aback, saying weakly, "Hatuyat." The White Night Witch clearly disapproved, her attitude as cold as grass, her tone lacking any warmth. She demanded, "Hatuyat, how dare you meddle in my affairs? Step aside. Northern Heaven Gate and we are irreconcilable enemies, and he is the Northern Heaven Heir. But he is also the one who saved my life." "Master, I beg you, spare him. I have never defied your orders. This is the first and last time. Master, I beg you." The White Night Witch coldly regarded the scene before her, her expression unreadable. In short, no one could guess the deep emotions within her. She thought, "She's changed so much. I must eliminate him." Before her thoughts finished, Don Hatayat was already kowtowing, expressing the most earnest wish, the earnest wish of her life. Her forehead struck the hard ground, and as she bowed she cried out, "I beg you, master." Tran Vu Nguyen, a crippled wreck, couldn't manage to stand, so he could only call out her name in helpless panic. Hatuyat, Tu Lin, not far away, witnessing the scene, could only close his eyes. Perhaps even he, at this moment, didn't know what to do. So much was at stake, how to advance or retreat. The outcome now wasn't something someone lay him could decide. The witch faced the earnest plea. Her face expressionless, but deep in her subconscious, a familiar scene surfaced, though it was very faint. Two figures, one standing, one kneeling, appearing to be the former White Night Witch and the current. She had her hair tied high, her face wrinkled and streaked with tears. But that figure turned away, as if unwilling to hear the crying behind him. Walking off, saying as he stepped away, "I can spare him, but you must endure." The ice crystal silver light art, do you agree? There. Tu Lin widened his eyes at the name, thinking, the ice crystal silver light. This technique cultivates the silver soul, but because it risks one's life. The young miss always hesitated. Doan Hatoyat kept her face down, hair scattered, head not raised, answering without hesitation. I agree. A moment later, Doan Hatoyat sat up, facing Tran Vung Nguyen, and offered the half-remaining supreme pill from before to him. Smiling as she called, Vung Nguyen, hurry and take this. He didn't refuse. He quietly accepted and swallowed it. He muttered, I must look terrible right now. Before he could finish, she embraced him, startling Tran Vung Nguyen's soul out of his body. Tran Vung Nguyen's eyes glistened with tears, while Doan Hatoyat was already soaked in them. She spoke with a nasal voice. I have to go now. He smiled bitterly, humming in acknowledgement, and the two held each other, saying nothing more. Space froze, the couple unwilling to part. The time spent was short but filled. Smiles. Now it was time to part ways. Very quickly, Doan Hatoyat's figure disappeared, leaving only Tran Vung Nguyen clutching his waist, staring blankly at the sky. He recalled the witch's final words, as she turned to warn him. Descendant of northern heaven, I warn you, never appear before her again. Don't take my words as wind passing by. Vung Nguyen's hand clenched. He must become stronger. He must. Not far away, behind the rocks, in a hidden corner, a figure was lurking. Tamo Thuong stared wide-eyed in this direction, his expression stunned, sweating. Tamo Thuong's face looked like he'd swallowed bitter herbs, his soul lost. He raised a hand to cover his mouth, his pupils filled with awe. Though I guessed he wasn't ordinary. I never expected him to be this strong. Waves of last night's memories surged back like a tide, wave after wave crashing into his mind. From the image of Tran Vung Nguyen wielding a heavy iron sword, slashing through the wind, valiantly protecting Doan Hatoyat in a way that astonished everyone, to those subtle sword strokes lie divine, Mighty couldn't help exclaiming that he never imagined the world could hold such sword arts. Tran Vung Nguyen, every time. Was the Northern Heaven Master, possessing supreme martial arts, yet enduring bitterness in silence, never revealing a single flaw. Tamo Thuong pondered deeply, then jolted, remembering a sharp thorn he'd forgotten in some corner of his soul. It was the moment he was training with his sword, his whole body wrapped in bandages after losing to an old friend. A voice, now distant, now near, like waves hitting the shore, told him, anger only clouds your mind. It can't solve anything. Damn. He remembered it as clearly as if it were yesterday. Back then he kept asking, who's speaking? Where are you? Tamo Thuong's mind was in turmoil, finally seeing the truth. All rivers and mountains flowed to one person. He was utterly stunned. Could it be? The one who guided me back then was him. Why would he guide me? Returning to reality, Tamo Thuong snapped out of it. Speculation. He saw Tran Vung Nguyen, weak and frail. He watched the lonely, tattered figure below, walking away, never looking back, as if unaware of him behind the stone. Tamo Thuong raised an eyebrow, lost in thought. Blinking, he grew troubled, thinking, where is he going? What should I do now? Tran Vung Nguyen turned and said with depth, if you want to kill me, now's your chance. What are you hesitating for? Truly a wolf in sheep's clothing. The brat noticed me lurking nearby. Tamo Thuong swallowed hard, suppressing the killing intent. Tamo Thuong gave no reply or action, instead watching the departing figure, and cursing inwardly, how ruthless. Afterward, he fell into deep thought, facing a figure with a great future. His heart stirred with ambition. Perhaps he felt himself too small, and at the same time became a headless fly, not knowing what kind of person he'd become in the future. Several hours passed in a blink. Sun and moon traded places. The stars had risen in the sky. That night was nothing special, only that morning came quickly. On the ground was the sound of heavy breathing. Tamo Thuong's figure appeared, his face covered with a white cloth to avoid inhaling fine dust, his hands continuously patting, dust flying everywhere. It seemed he'd just finished a long labor lasting from last night until morning. Tamo Thuong pulled down his mask. The early morning heat plus the exhausting work made him hot enough to die. A strange mound appeared. It was more like a mountain of corpses, holding hundreds of blood-soaked bodies of those who died last night. Tamo Thuong gathered them all without missing a single one, piling all the corpses together with several stacks of firewood. Needless to say what came next. In the chaotic pile of wounds, 2 hands covered in slashes were visible, but unfortunately, not a single breath of warmth remained in them. A moment later, a column of smoke several zhangtor rose thickly, piercing the sky, fierce and oppressive, burning all sorrow into ashes, wrapping the cold bodies and carrying them into the void, a way to release their souls. Tamo Thuong watched the blaze, his face unchanged, but his eyes showed he was bidding farewell to the dark past of that night. At this moment, his sword-holding hand clenched tight, veins bulging on the surface. He raised his head, breathing out. The heavy burden on his heart lightened. Ounces. At dusk, the skies shift to a dim hue. Tamo Thuong, with nothing to do, sat in a spot lost in thought, when from within a small, tattered house barely recognizable as a house, Tran Vung Guyen opened the door and stepped out. The youth, just out of the house, began fumbling around searching for something. Tamo Thuong watched. Could this god-forsaken land still hold worth? Searching for, after all, it had been 5. Puzzled, what was he doing? On the other hand, he thought to himself, so he's still alive. Tran Vung Guyen didn't answer. Only after a short while, from within the rubble, his 2 hands lifted up an object. This secret program being revealed was quite something. Tamo Thuong asked casually, "What are you looking for?" Yes, he didn't know what the kid was up to. Tamo Thuong raised an eyebrow, seemingly thinking to himself, do all geniuses just mope around doing things no one can understand? While Tamo Thuong was utterly bewildered, he blurted out, is it some important stone? Tran Vung Guyen fumbled around a few times, finally wrapping the item in a white cloth and slung it on his shoulder, letting out a tired breath. Then he walked toward Tamo Thuong, though it just happened that the way out of here was this path. Not that he wanted to exchange a single word with Tamo Thuong at all. A few moments later, Tamo Thuong pretended to ask, Ahem, you're leaving. Tran Vung Guyen replied calmly, I can't stay any longer. Tamo Thuong thought, in a few days, to investigate what had happened. Kao Center Heaven would surely send people to look into it. And there's Tran Vung Guyen. Northern Heaven won't just turn a blind eye to this, regardless of any relationship between them. Tran Vung Guyen is not heartless. He and Tamo Thuong see a deep connection from the scouting party. Connection than anyone else in the scouting party. On this wasteland are you and him. Heaven has granted this bond. No matter what, Heaven has granted this small bond. So, before leaving, Tamo Thuong is taken aback. Tamo Thuong is slightly taken aback by the question, then quickly replies, to resolve some matters. Tran Vung Guyen. And I have some matters to resolve. Tran Vung Guyen addresses the crux of the matter. Now possesses far-sighted vision. They will want to extract intel, reminding him, after I leave, so you must endure hardship. No, they will definitely want to extract more intel from you, so you might have to endure some hardship. Tamo Thuong, he replies, yeah, that's right. Then, I won't leak news about you. With deep meaning, he replies, yeah, that's right. Then he adds, he harbors a profound conviction. I stake my life and honor on it. He falls into deep thought, sheathing his sword. As if harboring some profound and unspoken conviction, he lowers his head and snorts, his gaze fixed on the ground, not daring to look at the young man. His voice still carries, now tinged with a hint of remorse and shyness. He says, also, I'm sorry for my past disrespect. Turned out to be a good-for-nothing. Receiving this sincere apology, I couldn't accept that the son of the man I admired turned out to be a good-for-nothing. Receiving this simple, sincere, and precious apology, he Tamo Thuong answers with relief. Thank you for forgiving me. I understand. Anyone would feel the same in your position. There, Tamo Thuong answers with relief. Thank you for forgiving me. And thank you for guiding my martial arts training earlier. Seeing that Tamo Thuong has finally realized the truth, Tran Vung Goyen can only scratch his head in embarrassment, has turned dead serious. Ahaha, it's really no big deal. Don't give it another thought. Little does he know that Tamo Thuong's expression towards him has now turned dead serious. A fierce, indescribable fire burns brightly in his eyes. He drops to one knee in a half-kneeling posture. The sudden, powerful sequence of actions is shockingly fast. With a potent and resolute voice, he declares heroically, starting from today, you are my master. I, Tamo Thuong, vow to serve you. Tran Vung Goyen, minding his own business, suddenly witnesses this scene and stays motionless, eyes wide as he looks at the man. I swear to heaven and earth. A sight he never dared imagine would happen to him. Tamo Thuong is ablaze with fervor. He shuts his eyes, his attitude towards Tran Vung Goyen completely sincere. Fearing his passion isn't enough and he'll miss this chance, he grows even more desperate to be a part. Northern heaven will rise again, in this world of betrayal. From now on I will go through fire and water for you. Master, please accept me. Tamo Thuong bows his head low to prove his iron will. Deep down, he has found the path he wants to walk. The next light of his life. And the future of the martial world. Master, Tran Vung Goyen places a hand on him. In this pugilist world full of schemes and betrayal, only he possesses a sincere heart and an indomitable will. If not follow him, then who else? Desperate to submit, Tamo Thuong shouts again. Master, please accept me. Kicking up clouds of dust, Tran Vung Goyen calms his mind, finally lowering his head to tell him, get up. Tamo Thuong hasn't heard the words he wants yet. If it's just that, wouldn't standing up mean failure? So he remains completely unmoving, shouting out lie a desperate plea and a confirmation. Master, Tran Vung Goyen then places a hand on his shoulder as warmth transmits. He softly replies. Fierce flames rage in northern heaven. The grounds turn to ash. Beneath the Ashura fire, I accept you. You are my first blade. A fierce gale sweeps across the wasteland, kicking up clouds of dust. But no matter how strong the wind, these two men know that, no matter how powerful the gale is, northern heaven blazes with fire. The realm erupts in smoke, forever burning, determined to reshape the mountains and rivers and alter the grand scheme. Fierce flames rage as if summoned back to northern heaven. The vast sacred grounds, where not even a bird can fly, slowly turn to ash beneath the Ashura fire rising from hell. Rising from hell. Firelight reflects on their faces. Once prosperous northern heaven now blazes with smoke and fire everywhere. Tran Vung Goyen ponders in silence. Even 100 lines of text. Tran Vung Goyen stands side by side with Tamo Thuong on the left and Old Huang on the right, watching the greedy flames. Today, the fifth sect master stands, watching heritage dissolve in fire. Is truly hard to put into words. Tamo Thuong turns to look at his young master. The firelight reflects glaringly on their faces. He has lived longer than the master, and is attached to northern heaven. Tran Vung Goyen ponders in silence. 4 generations of sect masters passed in the blink of an eye, sparkling in the firelight. Today, the fifth sect master stands right here, watching mountains and oceans of heritage dissolve in a sea of fire. Countless thoughts churn in his mind, ultimately condensing into a gaze as deep as a pool. Frighteningly calm and restrained, Old Huang beside him is far more emotional than the young master, understandably so, as he has lived longer than Tran Vung Goyen and is more deeply attached to northern heaven. Decades of affection cannot simply vanish in an instant. Decades of feelings can't just vanish in a flash. His eyes brim with tears. He calls out, Uncle Huang. Lie snow on plum branches, or morning dew on blades of grass. For an old man lie him. Priorities the master's safety. For over half his life is truly a painful experience. Tran Vung Goyen offers a warm smile. Old Huang quietly turns away and wipes them off, partly to avoid leaving an unsightly image in the youth's memory, and partly to remind himself to stay strong. Be tougher. Tran Vung Goyen, holding a torch, suddenly looks at him. Tran Vung Goyen smiles sorrowfully, sincerely comforting him. Old Huang feels a cold wind. Wait, what on earth is happening here? Tran Vung Goyen didn't expect Old Huang to arrive. He subconsciously calls out. Old Huang arrived in a rush. Old Huang panics, crying, I heard the kids from the 9 heavens came to Northern Heaven. His top priority is always the safety. Old Huang sighs over fate. Northern Heaven has ended. Tran Vung Guan can only offer a warm smile. Master. He adopts the demeanor of a devoted, loyal aide, says, You shameless brat. How could you still have the nerve to come here? Young master, are you hurt? What on earth happened here? I'm late, damn it. Ease. Tran Vung Guan lowers his eyelids thoughtfully, a hint of a faint, sorrowful smile still lingering on his lips. Tran Vung Guan lowers his gaze. It's all right, Uncle Huang. Old Huang feels as if a cold wind blows through his soul. He replies, Who knows when we'll meet? He stares at him in a daze. His time-weathered brows still furrowed. Tran Vung Guan continues. Tran Vung Guan tells him to take care. Mo Thuong closes his eye. Old Huang arrived in a rush without grasping the whole to but he understands the child before him best. Still, seeing the young master sitting here safely, after countless dangers, he can't help but exclaim it's a blessing, escaping disaster. He calls out, Young master. Back in the present. Old Huang sighs over fate once more. Uncle Huang, take care of master. He gazes fixedly at Tran Vung Guan mounting one of the... He thinks, anyway, the young master's skills are truly formidable. Old Huang nods on his card. Master. He finally adopts the demeanor of an aide. Until we meet again, warrior 2. Mo Thuong steps forward and respectfully bows, kicking up a whirlwind of dust. Mo Thuong watches them vanish. He murmurs, the dragon leaves to soar. Tran Vung Guan lowers his gaze profoundly. Meeting someone is already hard enough. His resolve is as grand as his master's, now that the moment of parting has arrived. Before you return, I will prepare. He simply replies, Who knows when we'll meet again? Directing energy to his dantian, with an unshakable spirit, reassuring his lord. It's fine, I will always await that day. Tran Vung Guan takes his words to heart, gently telling him to take care, and be extremely careful. Mo Thuong closes his eyes against the blazing light behind him. The land bursts with freshness. He remembers the day he handed a bandage to a pathetic, battered kid. Now, clouds drift overhead, eliciting a sigh at the impermanence of the world. The boy of that day has become his master. The horizon looks like fair. Has become his first loyal blade. Mo Thuong turns to Old Huang, offering a few parting instructions. Uncle Huang, you must take good care of master. Old Huang, wearing a straw hat and sitting on a crude wooden cart, nods. Naturally, that is my duty. He has remained motionless all night. The three of them part ways. Tran Vung Guan finally spurs his horse forward, kicking up a whirlwind of dust behind his horse's hooves. His worn robe flutters grandly. Mo Thuong stands alone, watching the two figures gradually vanish from sight with mixed emotions. As the figures disappear, he murmurs, The hidden dragon leaves so that it may soar once more. Mo Thuong's handsome, angular face tightens slightly. A burly man points his spear. Nothing can stop him, he says, before you return. He guesses this is Liang Wanji, leader of the Western Ridge branch, directing his internal energy to his dantian into a static posture. Mo Thuong lowers his eyelids and closes his eyes to meditate, completely ignoring the scorching heat from the hellish inferno, continually filling the air with smoke. Outer hall. Where are the others? Cloudless night passes. When dawn breaks clearly, Liang Wanji asks in surprise, Where is the sect master? The witness shows no abnormality. Tiny, bobbing black figures appear in the distance. The horizon at first glance looks like a bustling fair, gathering for a lively time. Fed stones and gravel lie this. Where would a fair come from, let alone when the panoramic view zooms in? Those black figures turn out to be a cavalry of 100 men, charging forward fiercely on horseback. The ground practically trembles beneath their hooves. Mo Thuong, sitting on the ground, feels the approaching tremors. He has remained as motionless as a stone all night, gathering his senses and staying alert. Sensing uninvited guests, he mutters softly. Upon their arrival, they're here. It seems after Shen Yuan and Ximing Chuiling left Northern Heaven, they went to Northern Heaven's Western Ridge branch. A horse's piercing whinny pierces the sky. The warriors pull their reins, their imposing robes fluttering as spears point forward. Mo Thuong quietly stands up. A burly, square-faced man with a thick beard proudly points his spear at Mo Thuong in the sunlight. In a deep voice, he says, Word has it this place to take something, guessing in his heart that judging by his appearance, this must be Liang Wanji, leader of the Western Ridge branch. Then Tamo Thuong holds up the item he retrieved for the opponent to inspect, stating his identity. I am Tamo Thuong of Northern Heaven's Outer Hall, third group dispatched here to carry out a mission. Liang Wanji frowns, asking, Outer Hall, then where are the others? Tamo Thuong replies calmly, I'm the only survivor. Liang Wanji's tone carries a hint of surprise. Only you survived, Tamo Thuong. Where is the Northern Heaven Sect Master? The sole witness shows no trace of abnormality in his expression and answers, dead. Suspicion stirs in Liang Wanji. He raises an eyebrow to ask for details. Did you see him die with your own eyes? The ruins behind him back up Tamo Thuong's words. He lies. I saw him trapped in a sea of fire. But I didn't see him. As a leader, his stance is not easily swayed. He says, we'll know after investigating. Put out this fire first. Escort him to the Western Ridge branch. He barks orders at the soldiers behind him. All troops split into two groups now. Liang Tiangson, Shang Xiao, take one path each. His forces shout, understood. He continues, Liang Tiangson, secure the perimeter. Don't let any suspicious characters go. Shang Xiao, search the ashes thoroughly. Yet, his mood remains completely unaffected. I think about being taken to West Ridge branch. Investigated for the secret crossbow, how I survived, and if Tran Vu Nguyen died, and if I can prove my innocence. Then I can return to Cow Heaven. If not, I'll be locked in the great prison. I need to pull myself together, Luong Van Chet loudly ordered. We must find the secret crossbow traces, the assistants replied. As you command. Tamo Thuong turned for one last look at the desolate scene. His gaze sharp as a drawn blade. He thought to himself, my lord, you must master the divine art. The West Ridge group stood there, before them a dark, desolate territory. That night's affair was now closed. Time passed. Looking to another horizon, two figures rode hard through the night. They rode on, not knowing how long. Dawn broke as they neared their gun. Uncle Huang and Tran Vu Nguyen slowed. The ground dusty, old Huang said, this is Tich Diem, or Ghost Mountain. The Northern Heaven sect avoids this place. Even living things are rare, old Huang saw the cold, biting scenery and frowned. Young master, do you truly want to lie here? Tran Vu Nguyen removed his hat, saying, it's fine. I officially begin training in martial arts. Here I can devote myself to practice. To the world, I'm already dead. Even if some doubt at first. Eventually they'll forget. He lowered his head, eyes dimming. Speaking with hidden meaning, human warmth is cold. Uncle Huang dismounted his horse, saying, young master, every 3-4 months, I'll bring food for you. You, Tran Vu Nguyen grasped his weathered hand, saying sincerely, Uncle Huang, I truly don't know how to thank you. For someone worthless, you've toiled, Huang replied. Young master, don't say that. This is my duty, he continued, though I know you're exhausted. I'm sorry to trouble you longer. Old Huang replied, don't worry about me, young master, just focus on your training. Tran Vu Nguyen spoke, then gazed into the distance. Tran Vu Nguyen said with hidden meaning, the rest of my life will begin here. Time slipped away to a distant corner. Only knowing the world had moved on from the topic of Northern Heaven's sect and its missing master, allied, unknown. At a long table gathered many bright faces, the youngest woman. Here, her expression not pleased. Sleeves rolled, hair tied halfway up. She was the White Dragon Guild's daughter, Yun, Xiao Yun, her gaze fixed on someone. She sighed. Even from a young age, he worked hard to help mother build the business. He always cares for the whole guild. She looked at the man across from her. Middle-aged, exuding a calm, steady demeanor, the air of a key figure, she said softly, my eldest brother. The one mother trusts to oversee operations in the guild. She never shows herself lie this. Normally, something must be wrong for mother's authority. Her words brought forth an old woman, hair dyed white. Time face carved by age, unrecognizable from her youthful looks, replaced by an aged beauty and an aloof, stern dignity. Madame No lowered her eyes. She spoke with authority to the members. Hung, business in Yunnan is in trouble, isn't it? For a question from an elder in a major meeting, the answer must be high-standing. The eldest son, Yun Humayang, replied, It is. Yun Xiaoyun's. Years ago, when everyone withdrew from Yunnan, was too remote and risky. The only one who dared to lay the foundation there, none other than third brother Tumin. The third brother Tumin she spoke of was here. He was the third son of Madame No. The White Dragon Guild's Yun Tumin, deeply tied to Yunnan. Hearing his mother, he stepped forward. If the problem is in Yunnan, I'll go there to investigate. Mother, another object. No, Yun Humayang said with a worried look. If you send Tumin, losses are unavoidable. I think we should send someone else. Yun Tumin, under his brother's protection, was uneasy, perhaps as a pioneer with experience, knowledge of that land. He said, Brother, Yunnan is where I built the foundation. Who knows that place better than me? Sending me is the best choice. Yun Humayang hesitated at his resolve. He said, Tumin, wait. He thought, it's not that I ignore your feelings, I know. But we don't yet know the actual situation and the dangers lurking. I can't let my own brother risk his life. Then he looked at Madame No, thinking, but since mother is here, I can't show favoritism, so I held back. The issue opened. Everyone began discussing and calculating. Some suggested sending manpower there. Guild leader, do you think Scholar Lai Taidon is also very cautious? Another bright face spoke up. What about the scholar Van? Someone dismissed. This one is skilled in martial arts, but a bit dull. Another added. But for Yunnan, Tumin is the best choice. At this, Madame No was the calmest observer. She ignored those names and turned to call. Tumin. Yun Tumin quickly responded. Mother. Madame No was still as stone. She looked at her third son with his determination and asked, do you truly want to go there? Yun Tumin saw the opportunity. With unshakable resolve, he respectfully replied, you can see I'm the most suitable person, so I hope you approve. Madame No calmly closed her eyes. She didn't stop a man's ambition, even if it was her own son. She asked, fine, it's understandable. So, have you planned any strategy? Yun Tumin fluently presented. I plan to bring the guard captain, Namnyan quiet, and a few men. That way we can avoid uncertainties. Madame No nodded. Fine, it wouldn't hurt to bring one more. Take the guard Huang along. Unexpectedly, mother proposed a name, the list of candidates. Yun Tumin was surprised and asked, guard Huang, you mean Huang Chiat? Madame No, far-sighted, 1 step ahead, 10 steps planned. Whoever she promoted was surely skilled. Letters and martial arts, useful now or useful later. Yun Humayang silently pondered. In the end, the leader of this long journey was the third brother. Madame No didn't forget to advise Tumin, be careful, the situation in Yunnan isn't easy. Yun Tumin took her words to heart, closing his eyes to steady himself. I remember, mother. In the main hall, the space had quieted down again. Clearly the meeting had ended. Inside, 2 figures remained in their spots. Yun Humayang and Madame No, even after the discussion, still had lingering concerns. Madame No spoke up. You're worried about him. Him meant Yun Tumin, the third brother. Yun Humayang nodded with concern. That's right. Not only that, we don't know what we're about to face. Madame No gently agreed. I understand your feelings, but danger doesn't mean it's unrelated. If our family can't hold its position, no one will respect the White Dragon Trading Guild anymore. This is the time to act as an example. Yun Humayang accepted his mother's analysis, not fixated on the situation. He simply replied, I understand, mother. Madame No, composed. I trust Tumin will handle this well. Yun Humayang was silent. Madame No reassured him. Don't worry, then casually ordered, "Go, call guard Huang here for me." Yun Humiang replied, "You want him here now? Then I'll go find him." Madame No smiled faintly. Fleeting lay clouds over a peak. The White Dragon Guild was wealthy. Everywhere they went, gold and grandeur, houses so vast one could get lost. Yun Humiang walked the long path, his robe fluttering behind, hands clasped, exuding the calm air of a great scholar, lie mountains and waters. He carried thoughts in his heart, pondering, God Huang Chiat, he has no martial talent, nothing outstanding either. I don't know how he earned mother's trust. After all, it's a long sea to reach. Yun Humiang finally let it go. He walked to his destination, a large yard where soldiers were training, or rather, training young recruits in martial arts to serve the White Dragon Trading Guild in the future. A wild boy with a ponytail, gritting his teeth, his hands gripping a long staff under the guidance pouring into his ears. Don't focus too much on inner energy. The key is to regulate your breath while balancing inner and outer strength. The more he listened, the more confused. His movements were clumsy. The master, teaching him, sighed in frustration. I told you to strike with full force. This kid, so stubborn. He sighed wearily. Oh, truly a dull boy. Yun Humiang from behind called the man. Name, God Huang, at the call. Indeed a familiar face. The man turned around. Old Huang. Since that fateful day, much time had passed. Huang Chiat's expression was surprise. Seeing the other, he blurted out, "Oh my, guild leader." The small wooden cart rattled, carrying luggage across the vast sandy land. The owner of that cart. Then Huang Chiat. Huang Chiat, once again a traveler on a long road, wearing a shabby conical hat, a faded robe covering his neck, his expression distant, not relaxed at all, as if anticipating Madame No's call. He walked alone to a large room. Seeing Madame No seated before him, he clasped his hands and asked, "You called for me, Madame No?" Madame No remained composed, calmly replying, "Fine, sit down." "Old Huang, how have you been lately?" Huang Chiat respectfully answered, "Thanks to Madame's help, my life has been much better lately." Madame No smiled warmly. She was understanding, even grateful for his presence in the White Dragon Trading Guild. She said, "Good, I'm grateful you came." God Huang Chiat, knowing his place. God Huang Chiat replied, "Ha, I haven't done much. But madam, may I ask why you called me today?" Madame No didn't beat around the bush. She laid it out from start to finish. "My son plans to go to Yunnan. It's where he built everything himself, so he wants to take responsibility and resolve the trouble there. That's why I want to send God Huang with him." Huang Chiat, hearing this trust, couldn't help but feel bewildered, so much so he let out a huh. Madame No continued, 7 years ago, my eldest son, Humiang, made a trip through Ghost Gate Pass. 5 years ago, I escaped death. It was thanks to God Huang being there. Madame No, clear-sighted, recalling it, saw Huang as a guardian. By fortune, she smiled, her tone firm as a nail. "I believe you're blessed by heaven, so you can help others escape danger. Luck is also a kind of talent, so I ask you to protect 2 men. Will you?" The reason Huang Chiat was riding now was that, afterthought, he returned to reality. Whip in hand, he spurred his horse. "It should take about half a month. I need to hurry." Then he remembered his clumsy disciple. Old Huang instinctively muttered, "That quiet kid, if he comes along, he'll surely get stabbed a few times. I need to push him to train more." He was about to grumble more, when a strange sight caught his eye. Old Huang saw ruins, the north wind blowing a torn flag. The desolate scene stirred doubt and fear, but old Huang knew the place. He even chuckled a few times. "Ha, the bandits have done their work. I heard troops were sent to stop them, but surprisingly, far away." Dust was kicked up behind the city. Old Huang found Madame Li's words right. to some extent, and couldn't help sighing. Must be my luck that she sent me. The seasons cycle to the familiar winter. Who knows what season the world is in? One thing is clear, the ground here is covered with snow. Lie a blanket, pure white and soft, gently embracing the cold earth. Suddenly, heavy footsteps tread the snow, quickly punching holes through it, revealing its thickness as it hugs his legs. A tall male figure with broad shoulders, carrying dry firewood, appears from nowhere. His long black hair flows loose without a top knot, exuding an untamed freedom everyone envies. He walks barefoot through the deep snow, unbothered, bare-chested in the cold, heading toward a dwelling in the rock face. Entering the house, the man drops his bundle of dry wood. His firewood-carrying arms are covered in scars, with bulging meridians beneath his skin. Winding lie streams under his skin, yet it's unclear if this person is a petty merchant. Anyway, in this desolate place, who knows where he dug up so many ruined blades and heavy swords, numbering around several dozen, all scattered across the floor, all scattered across the floor. A voice suddenly rings out outside. Hearing it, the silhouette inside glances over. Hearing the call, the man instantly rushes out. Not kind, yet the young man greets him happily. Uncle Huang. Ah. Catching sight of the man's figure, Huang Chit cannot help thinking, you've suffered here for 7 years. Without finishing, we know who this youth is. Obviously Tran Vung Goyen. Tran Vung Goyen has no trace of immaturity. He bears the look of a strapping man, with extremely handsome features. A smile blooms. Long time no see, Uncle Huang. Huang Chit looks at Tran Vung Goyen with deep emotion. Look at you. You've grown up. Even if old Huang dies today, I can close my eyes in peace, he says, then bashfully adds, young master, your affection is indescribable. Then, gentle sunlight casts shadows on the snow. Tran Vung Goyen places a hand on his uncle's shoulder, saying, you must have suffered in this cold. I am grateful for everything you've done. Uncle Huang, it's freezing outside. Let's go inside to get warm. Scene shift. Inside a stone dwelling, the sound inside echoes warmly. A new look and a new man. It really suits you well. You've matured quite a bit, becoming a true man now. Tran Vung Goyen paused teeth, noticing a change, involuntarily asking, you came earlier than usual this time? I came earlier because I have to make a trip to Tran Vung Goyen's tone is calm yet concerned. Did something bad happen? Is it life-threatening? Huang Chit naturally harbors heavy doubts about upcoming events, but his expression doesn't betray worry. Only his face tightening slightly. Don't worry, I know how to protect myself. You needn't fret. Don't worry, I know how to protect myself. Then, changing the subject, he glances at an item and asks in surprise, say, what's with that sword over there? Tran Vung Goyen replies, I ground it using that stone just as I predicted. That rock is no ordinary object. It took me years just to grind it. It took me years just to grind it. Huang Chit's tone turns cautious. The more he looks at the sword, the colder he feels. He stammers, that sword, the murderous aura. Tran Vung. Let's talk about it later, Uncle Huang. How is the Jianghu lately? Huang Chit replies, after the incident 7 years ago, things have gotten complicated. The Northern Heaven 4 heroes are overlords now. The Northern Heaven sect is still struggling to hold them back. Then, Tran Vung Goyen casually remarks, no clashes, probably wary of our return. Resurgence. Huang Chit agrees, having found some traces, which has left the Northern Heaven faction flustered. The two chat about many worldly affairs. Huang Chit rarely graces this humble abode with his presence, so he doesn't hesitate to stay the night at Tran Vung Goyen's until the early dawn of the next day. Before the night mist has even dissipated, the two bid farewell. The carriage is empty. All goods were given to Tran Vung Goyen. Tran Vung Goyen bids his uncle farewell earnestly. Uncle Huang, take care. Don't worry, old Huang has lived to see the revival of the Northern Heaven Gate. Old Huang won't fall yet. Old Huang here won't fall just. Tran Vung Nguyen adds, Uncle Huang, I've always been grateful and felt guilty for making you carry extra responsibilities. Old Huang can't bear it and interrupts. Old Huang can't bear it and interrupts. Stop saying such mushy things. Huang Chich is seen off to the carriage. As he climbs aboard, he turns back with a promise. Young master, I'll return in the spring. Remember to take care of your health. Remember to take care of your health. Tran Vung Nguyen's eyes gleam. You take care too, Uncle Huang. Uncle Huang smiles. Huang Chich leaves, dust swirling, leaving Tran Vung Nguyen behind. He says calmly, take care. The youth raises his head, lapses into deep thought, lets out a sigh, and wonders, where are you, Hatuyet? 3 months pass. Uncle Huang said he'd return in spring. 2 more months pass. It's summer. He hasn't come. Forgive me, Uncle Huang. I can't wait any longer atop this towering cliff. He closes his eyes and channels his kai to his dantian, thinking, he is a man of his word. Then suddenly snaps his eyes open. He slowly stands up, his muscular arm gripping the heavy sword wrapped in black cloth. I'm certain something happened to him. Nearby rocks bear sharp sword marks, testament to rigorous, lifelong training. Tran Vung Nguyen looks small against the mountains, yet he authored those powerful slashes. The heavy sword moves decisively without a single wasted motion. The peaceful mountains sitting here suddenly roar with a thunderous explosion, shaking the heavens and earth. The sky above vanishes in an instant. Leaving, Tran Vung Nguyen sheathes his sword, radiating a gentleman's aura. His handsome face knits slightly. His hawk-lay sharp eyes gazing forward, as if looking at a gate that has awaited him for a long time. In Lanzhou, streets are packed with rooftops, tile upon tile, crowds flowing back and forth lie a shuttle. In this prosperous place, nothing is lacking. A small inn nestles in a corner. At a glance, business here doesn't seem very good. The tables and chairs outside are completely empty, and inside, there is no sound. The innkeeper dozes in broad daylight, lost deep in a very comfortable dream, when suddenly the desolate front door slowly creaks open. A stranger steps inside. He wears a bamboo hat, his whole body shrouded in gloomy, dark malevolent ki. Shrouded in dark, malevolent. Needless to say, he doesn't belong to the ordinary common folk outside. Hearing the commotion, the innkeeper manages to wake up just enough to offer a greeting. Yarn, welcome. But when he takes a closer look at the mysterious figure before him, he suddenly frowns with a displeased attitude. He unhappily thinks, why does he look like a beggar? Maybe I should say we have no rooms left. The masked guest seems to cast a evaluating gaze from the shadows, seeing the innkeeper's face plastered with a desire to kick guests out. Only a blind man wouldn't get the hint. Seeing him tilt his head in silence, without a word. A moment later, sparing himself any golden words of chatter, the mysterious dark aura guest concisely tosses 2 silver ingots and some shining loose change onto the table. The fat innkeeper does a complete 360-degree attitude turnaround for reasons unknown. His eyes light up like twin high beams. He flies toward the generous Vi Pai, welcoming him with beaming smiles. Welcome, honored guest, to Black Moon Inn. I'll prepare the finest room right away. I will lead you to our Black Moon Inn. I'll prepare the finest room right away. I will lead you to. Our Black Moon Inn. I will lead the honored guest to. A familiar male voice rings out. The guest removes his heavy cloak, places his sword against the wall, and lets out a sigh, saying, seclusion has made me clueless about directions. Making it to Lanzhou is a miracle. Tran Vung Nguyen brushes his hair and breathes. 10 grueling days to get here. It certainly wasn't easy. Come to think of it, I've been too thoughtless. After all, Uncle Huang was the only one by my side through adversity. Yet I only know he guards the White Dragon caravan. And nothing else beyond that. Tran Vung Nguyen gazes deeply out at the bustling, vast world below, involuntarily reproaching himself. just because of the need to focus on martial arts training. Uncle Huang, I hope you are safe. After long, Tran Vu Nguyen finally, once settled in this foreign land, finally does what must be done, walking up to a grand, solemn, imposing gate with a massive horizontal plaque inscribed with the proud and noble name, White Dragon Caravan. A loud roar suddenly echoes. Hey there, who are you, punk? Who are you, just standing there staring? Osh, that's the voice of a gate guard. Seeing some idiot wandering back and forth in front of people's doors, he's possessed, staring in without saying a word. Wouldn't anyone be frightened? Tell me, wouldn't anyone be frightened? Tran Vu Nguyen is naive and innocent. This youth doesn't even realize he's acting extremely bizarrely, only snapping out of it when someone yells in his face, responding sensibly. He cups his hands. Pardon me, sirs. My humble surname is Tran, and I'm here today to look for a boy named Quach Van Din, who is a bodyguard here. Then the guard raises an eyebrow upon hearing this. He doesn't need much time to dig up that person's name, quickly replying, Quach Van Din. You mean you're looking for a caravan guard? How do you know Van Din? Tran Vu Nguyen honestly replies, I don't know him well, but I heard he's very close to my uncle, so I came here to find him. The guard frowns again, asking perplexedly, your uncle? Tran Vu Nguyen smoothly continues, my uncle is Huang Chich, also a bodyguard. Hearing that name, the guard's attitude turns much more familiar and relaxed, excitedly pointing right at Tran Vu Nguyen's face. He replies, your brother Huang's nephew. I've heard so much about you. He spoke of you with such pride. And, faltering, his expression darkens, his eyes drifting away as if hiding something hard to mention. If so, you must be here to search for brother Huang's whereabouts. Right, it's been 6 months since we last received any news of him. Out of camaraderie with Huang Chich. He guides Tran Vu Nguyen inside. Tiskir, come on, follow me, I'll take you to Van Din. Brother Huang took very good care of and taught Van Din well. Van Din has no talent for swords, so he handles odd jobs. The sun climbs, its dazzling rays beating down on everything, shining on the ornaments atop the soaring tiled eaves, making them look all the more luxurious and brilliant. Tran Vu Nguyen obediently and silently follows the guard from earlier, entering the inner courtyard. He accidentally catches sight of some rough-looking Jianghu characters. There are 3 of them, with fierce, menacing looks when they meet innocent Tran Vu Nguyen. Their gazes, although he hasn't seen much of the world, he understands its dark side well, so he finds this unremarkable. Often, he is more dangerous than them. Tran Vu Nguyen's expression is unchanged, swiftly brushing past them. After walking a short distance with Tran Vu Nguyen, the guard reaches their destination. It's the scene we saw earlier. People practicing martial arts, but Huang Chich is nowhere to be seen. The guard tosses him a line. Wait here for a moment. Then he quickly walks over to a tall man with long tied hair, wearing formal attire much stricter than ordinary folks, who has his back turned to Tran Vu Nguyen. The guard reports something to him, without glancing at Tran Vu Nguyen. As the guard finishes reporting, the tall man looks at him, his expression one of surprise. Without hesitation, he suddenly whirls around to look at Tran Vu Nguyen with an incredulous gaze, blurting out, what? Bodyguard Huang's nephew, though older. The man is righteous and courteous. He cups his hands in greeting to Tran Vu Nguyen and introduces himself. I am Kong Zhenqing, head bodyguard. Tran Vu Nguyen also gently and respectfully bows with cupped hands, replying, my surname is Tran. Having finished his errand, the guard leaves right away. Cheerfully saying, I'll be off. Tran Vu Nguyen thanks him. Many thanks. After a moment, Kong Zhenqing heard Tran Vu Nguyen's request and said, you want to find Wenting. Wait a moment, he'll be back soon. But, you came here to ask about Huang Baoxiao's whereabouts, right? Tran Vu Nguyen didn't hide anything and answered sincerely, that's right. Do you know where he is? When mentioning this, a hint of deep concern crossed his face. He said while stroking his beard, well, from what I know, to resolve some issues in Yunnan. The third master and the guard Tim went to Yunnan together, but the old mistress entrusted Huang Baoxia to join. Tran Vu Nguyen raised his brows, asking why the old mistress sent Uncle Huang on such a dangerous mission. So Uncle Huang is missing, but she hasn't made any move, because he was worried about old Huang. Tran Vu Nguyen unknowingly offended Madame Liu. Kong Zhenqing quickly defended her. Oh, this kid. The old mistress is not that kind of person, and Huang Baoxiao isn't the only one missing. The third master and the guard Tim vanished. This has turned the trading guild upside down. So now the old mistress has hired many mercenaries, planning to go to Yunnan. If I had gone, things might be different. Not have turned out this way. Actually, with the hegemony society in Yunnan, the biggest power in Yunnan, the hegemony society, but established their own trade routes. This time, White Dragon had to make many concessions and cooperate. I've told you everything. Not only cooperation but also providing other valuable items. Frankly, bribing them. I'm rambling again. You know, I'm getting old. You should understand her feelings. You should understand her feelings. The person they waited for arrived. Guo Wenting ran over from afar. It was the kid Kong Zhenting called out. Wenting is here. You two talk. I need to go see the old mistress. Guo Wenting ran over from afar, not knowing why Kong Zhenting, he said while walking hurriedly. Escort leader Kong Tranvunguyen, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. Can I join this trade trip to Yunnan? I can help with errands. As long as I can get to Yunnan. Kong Zhenting was surprised and asked, You, kid. Guo Wenting didn't understand. He looked at Kong Chish. Agreed. He coughed once. Ahem, you seem to have martial training. I'll put in a word. Should be enough to protect yourself. Tran Vunguyen didn't show reaction. He looked at the sky, thinking of Uncle Huang, and replied softly, Dit, then looked down. Guo Wenting looked a handsome man, overwhelmed by Tran Vunguyen's aura. The boy scratched his head awkwardly. I am Guo Wenting. Is there something you need? The scene didn't continue further. Instead, another topic arose. Every year, prodigies appear in the world, and artists select 7 names among talents. Those becoming clouds in the sky. Martial world, the 7 youths, and the man standing before him. Though not among the 7 youths, he was one of the most strategic minds in the world, possessing enviable talent. That is one step, one scheme, Songli Wuhuan. Strange strength, chaos mind, Kai Yakran. In the martial world, there's a sect formed by over 10 wanderers, led by a recognized master. Silent in appearance, just offer a fair price and they'll handle everything. Kong Zhenting's voice quietly echoed in his deputy leader of the Iron Cavalry. He looked at the 2 from the cavalry. Their overwhelming aura. Then the overwhelming aura he mentioned. Shift to another matter. His eyes wandered to Kai Yakran. Who would have thought an upright man? Lay him was an old lecher. Kong Zhenting couldn't control his eyes, staring until her cheeks flushed. He even secretly sighed. Oh, Zongli Wuhuan took contract in his pocket, smiling professionally. The deal is done then. Yin Yuming, with Madame Liu, represented the White Dragon Trading Guild. His expression was very serious. He didn't smile but replied, We rely entirely on you all. Songli Wuhuan and the woman clasped their hands. Wuhuan said loudly. They clasped hands. Wuhuan said with authority, We've accepted the commission from the White Dragon Trading Guild. Tomorrow morning we'll depart for Yunnan. Madame Liu, for some reason, was sweating profusely. She thanked them. Thank you all. Songli Wuhuan, so impressive earlier. All that vanished. He put his hands on his hips confidently. When we rescue young Master Yin, then the lady can thank us. Wuhuan replied, Of course not. I am the deputy leader, Hun Dao Ren. Sunset Iron Bow Tan Zen He. 7 orifices sword Kong Hung's iron. The 5 of us will depart together. The rest, including the leader, are on another mission. They are on their way to Yunnan. We'll rendezvous in Sichuan later. Please don't worry, old mistress, Madame Liu replied wearily. Then I can rest easy. Kong Zhenting felt a bit relieved. He thought, good, with the Iron Cavalry, the chances of rescuing Master are higher. Both deputy leaders finally rose from their seats, saying, We'll prepare for the trip to Yunnan. See you all tomorrow. The main hall fell into silence. When the Iron Cavalry left, Kong Zhenting stood to report. Old mistress, guild leader Yin, the nephew of the missing Huang Baoxiao, who disappeared with the 3rd master, came here. He wants to go to Yunnan. Madame Liu replied with difficulty. Huang's nephew. If there's no problem, let him come. Yin Yuming saw his mother was worried, her spirit and strength declining. He immediately stood up to support her. Mother, you've been worrying too much. Please go rest inside. Then the meeting dispersed. Who knows how long passed. Suddenly Yin Yuming's voice rang out. Ngok Yen, why insist on going to Yunnan? His sister said, Brother, no matter what, it's useless. I've made up my mind. Yin Yuming scolded. Oh, don't talk nonsense like that. Third brother's fate is unknown. I can't let you go there. Brother, I've trained in martial arts at Kongdong sect. I can protect myself. Yin Yuming was furious at his sister. He couldn't help but question, Ngok Yen, why must you take such risks? Ngok Yen replied meaningfully, we're family, you know. Clearly Yuming, after a heated argument, heard this and suddenly didn't know what to say, looking at her. The next day came. The sun rose high with its radiant, warm light. Tran Vunguyen was indeed brought along by their group. He sat on a carriage, with a leisurely but not relaxed demeanor, chewing grass and looking at the sky. Through the journey, the youth felt the trip ahead seemed uneventful. Tran Vunguyen muttered, Phrase, I feel this trip won't be smooth. The trading guild set out with a dozen people, horses and men in orderly formation. In the middle of the formation were 3 luxurious carriages, neither fast nor slow, rolling along. Suddenly someone looked at Tran Vunguyen. Did you sleep well last night? It turned out to be Guo Wenting. The boy, for some reason, was also allowed to come along. The kid rode skillfully. He said, I was too excited to sleep at all. Huh. Guo Wenting performed alone without receiving a response. He didn't know the man named Tran Vunguyen was a stone colder than ice and snow, just emerging into the world. But Guo Wenting wasn't angry. The boy looked at him with admiration. He silently compared, is this brother really Uncle Huang's nephew? He's completely different from Uncle Huang. He's much calmer. After thinking, the clueless kid continued to chatter, trying to get closer. Guo Wenting said with a mix of emotions, Actually, this is my first trip this big. My father was an escort. He passed away years ago. Also during a mission like this. So I'm even more nervous than usual. Uncle Huang always feared I'd die on escort missions, so he personally taught me the mental technique. He used to nag about everything, and made me train non-stop. Now I truly appreciate Uncle Huang. Tran Vunguyen glanced at Guo Wenting. He asked, Uncle Huang, what technique did Uncle Huang teach you? Guo Wenting replied, the Taiyuan technique. The key is perseverance and patience. This will be my stepping stone to becoming a martial master. Though everyone thinks I have no talent for martial arts, learning is useless. Thankfully, Uncle Huang devoted himself to me, so I've been practicing diligently every day. I hope Uncle is safe and sound. Tran Vunguyen said nothing, perhaps observing the boy's true heart. He just looked at Guo Wenting for a moment, then after a while spoke up. Then after a while, he spoke gently. Wenting, if anything happens, you must stay close to me. Guo Wenting immediately smiled. Deet, of course. But in his heart, he doubted the man. This brother, though he carries a sword, does he even know any martial arts? If anything unusual happens later. For the Iron Cavalry's team, Zhongli Wuhuan was tapped on the shoulder. He quickly looked over. It was Kai Yakran. After calling Wuhuan, she pointed behind. Wuhuan quickly understood. He said, you find it strange too. Right, that person compared to the escorts is completely different. The aura from him is truly odd. Sometimes present, sometimes nowhere seen. Kai Yakran neither agreed nor disagreed. She seemed more interested in Tran Vunguyen than Wuhuan. Wasn't Hepai. In his mind he kept thinking, how am I supposed to lie now? Spending years buried in sword training, yet now I only want to find Uncle Huang. And Yin Hatuyet, so after I find them, what do I do next? Back the gate, I have to confront and take revenge on that Yun Shongtian, or just continue living a hidden life no one knows. No one notices. Lay before, father wouldn't want me full of grudges. He wanted me to lie without worries, without troubles. Tran Vunguyen fell silent, his soul. He said, but, can I really lie that my heart, my blood, still surge endlessly? Father, I truly don't know. Who knows how long the youth pondered. In short, until he was pulled back from the depths by the world. Opening his eyes, the sky was sunset. The leader's voice guided the group. Rest, set up camp, then repeated once more. And so, horses and men rushed on like that, in a flash. They reached a river miles away. At this time, the sunset dyed the sky red. The river lay a piece of shimmering glass. The leader said, "In 2 hours we'll cross the river by boat. Now split into 2 teams. Take turns on watch and rest. Team 1 eats. Team 2 guards carriages. When Team 1 is done, return for Team 2 to rest." Understood. Kong Zhenting finished assigning. The group of dozens immediately obeyed and answered loudly. "Welcome. Come in. Come in." Tran Vunguyen left the carriage and went to a nearby eatery. He brought Kid Guo Wenting to eat. The waiter came over to ask, "What would you like?" Tran Vunguyen replied, "Just make me something simple." The waitress smiled and introduced the menu to Tran Vunguyen. "Let me recommend for you. Today's stir-fried pork is the best. Please wait. The food will be right up." Guo Wenting beside him, young and restless. The boy saw the cute waitress and so kept staring. Tran Vunguyen didn't glance and asked, "Smitten already?" Guo Wenting was hit in the heart. The youth startled and let out an ah. He pretended to look at the grass, feigning calm, and boasted, "No, no, brother, you're too much." At the same time, a group entered the eatery. They were from the Iron Cavalry. The food arrived quickly. The waiter brought it with a tone just lithe a little. Waiter brought it to the table. She introduced, "The famous stir-fried meat of the Southern Sea Inn is here." Guo Wenting exclaimed, "Wow! Truly, truly, truly tempting." Behind them, the Iron Cavalry sat down. The bald man saw the waitress and called, "Waiter, bring the meat here, and more wine." Wu Huan pointed to the spot and told Dina Lan, "Sit here." Seeing Guak Munjung relaxed and easy to talk to, she suddenly introduced herself. "My name is Sorayang, Ham Sorayang." "What is your name, brother?" Guak Munjung, thrilled to be called brother by a girl, stuttered, "Me, older brother." "Ha. My name is Guak Munjung." Ham Sorayang smiled. "Are you an escort too?" "Oh goodness. Later on, if you need an escort, look for White Dragon Trading. How's that?" Guak Munjung grinned and happily replied, "Deet, absolutely." Ham Sorayang said excitedly, "You promised." "Okay." Guak Munjung insisted. "Of course, I'm always glad to help. Just come look for your Guak Munjung." Tran Vunguyen sat amidst this innocent banter between the young couple. Feeling somewhat out of place, he felt like a young man who had suddenly become a lonely 80-year-old geezer. In Ham Sorang's eyes, only Guak Munjung exists, so she paid no attention to old Tran Vunguyen. She cheerfully agreed with Guak Munjung. "Okay, I'll come." Just then, near the entrance, some more guests seemed to be arriving. This was a group in uniform attire, belonging to a sect like the Iron Cavalry, but unlike the rugged Iron Cavalry. These people's robes were much more orderly. As they entered, they carried a refined aura, except the old man leading had a scowling, hateful face. At the Iron Cavalry, anyone could see, especially a leading figure, Vu Hong Kang, who paid attention. As he saw them, he blurted, "Oh, aren't those Taoists from Wudang? And that kid, his status must be high. When do Wudang disciples send young ones out? Only elite disciples with high mastery. Or senior disciples." Tran Vunguyen, chewing, glanced at Guak Munjung and noticed the kid was staring non-stop at the Wudang crowd, so he casually asked him, "Are you jealous?" Guak Munjung was sensible and quickly shook his head. "No, I'm not jealous at all. I'm an escort. My dad always said, even though this is just a way to protect lives and valuable goods, and that is our will to survive. If not for escorts, no one else would do this job, even if looked down on, facing bandits daily. And living such harsh lives, being an escort is a noble profession." Unexpectedly, this clumsy kid could be so obedient and understand things with such depth. Tran Vunguyen felt that although this kid was alone, his values were spot on, perhaps amidst this precarious life. A moment later, he let out a soft swallowed the food in his mouth, and offered a faint, appreciative smile. "Your father is truly great. Suddenly, the tavern was shattered by a crude, booming voice. Innkeeper, get out here right now. Turns out, the owner of this ear-splitting voice was the old leader of the Wudang group. Who knows if the innkeeper robbed his ancestors? Anyway, his aura was blazing with fury. After shouting, he bellowed even louder. Get out here. Innkeeper, where are you? Are you deaf or something? The commotion practically blew the tavern apart. The innkeeper rushed out upon hearing the shouts. He was a simple, honest man, his face speckled with sweat from the heat. He hurried over and asked, "See, senior brother." Before he could finish, the innkeeper froze in shock. Gasp, without a single second of hesitation. Whatever was flying forward violently slammed into the innkeeper's face. It was a dish of semi-liquid food, whose flavor hadn't been tasted before it smashed all over the innkeeper's head. Ham So-ryung, standing nearby, shrieked in horror. "Dad!" Then she glared at the old man and yelled, "Who do you think you are, Ham Thai-bin?" The old man, Ham Thai-bin, looked like a fox. He didn't deign to look at the daughter, instead chewing the innkeeper out for a reason. "Because we ate your filthy, poorly made food. Our Wudang successor Xueling's tooth chipped." The Xueling mentioned in his complaint was a young man, sitting at a table holding his mouth, and his tooth indeed looked chipped. Ham Thai-bin flew into a rage and scolded, "You must be plotting to get back at us, Wudang, aren't you?" On the floor, shards of porcelain lay among debris, as the noisy uproar began to shatter the peace of the small tavern.